Look at my microphone.
I love it.
I didn't know it could do that, but I hit a button and now it's lighting up like this.
So festive. So
We'll see if the
festive.
sound quality matches that. TBD.
Yeah. What do an Advent wreath, a faulty emergency brake, and a moody 10-year-old boy have in common?
Well, somehow, believe it or not, they are all key plot points in Hallmark's 2021 movie, A Godwink Christmas, Miracle of Love. And we've got a lot to talk about, Josh.
We sure do, Jennifer. We'll unwrap it all for you on this episode of Do You Watch What I Watch?
Sit down and watch, then have a talk with Jennifer and Josh.
So, some Hallmark movies are cozy, some are emotional, and some leave you staring at the screen and wondering how we got here. This week, we're recapping and reviewing A Godwink Christmas, Miracle of Love, a movie packed with heartfelt moments, emotional twists, and enough coincidences called Godwinks here to make our heads spin. Was it charming? Absolutely. Was it chaotic? Also, yes. Jennifer, hit us with the high-level plot summary, and then I'll take us on the deep dive.
I will. And for our listeners, just so you all know, I watched this movie when it came out. Josh had not seen it. And I didn't say anything other than, hey, we need a Christmas movie to talk about May. I picked this one. And then I just wanted to see what happened. So we haven't talked about it until now. And I
Let's
can't wait
go.
to hear your thoughts. Okay, here's the plot summary. Brought together by community service, Eric and Joy find new purpose at Christmas as they help a family rebuild their home. Coincidences and a medical miracle lead them to believe in destiny. Let's go.
So we open to some clouds and a voiceover that's explaining to us that Godwinks are signs of hope, destiny, and divine timing. So naturally, things are about to get aggressively coincidental.
And religious.
Turns out,
Very
and
religious.
very religious. Yes, we are in Columbus, Ohio, where we meet Joy, our female lead here. She's a fast tracking her way to becoming a nurse practitioner. Dad's proud. She's thriving. Life is good. Meantime, we meet Eric. He's a former divinity student turned aspiring news writer after seminary didn't exactly pan out for him. His mom wants him to find purpose, but first wants him to find a latte. So he runs off to town to grab her a latte. Joy, turns out, has a boyfriend, but unfortunately for him, he's more emotionally invested in a fixer-upper in town than he is in Joy's dream international nurse practitioner career. So this relationship is clearly hanging by a thread. Eric gets back with the latte for Mom, and he checks the mail and he finds a flyer for a 2-week fellowship called Advent in Oshkosh, as in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Joy happens to spot the same flyer at her big international nursing job interview because subtlety is not this movie's spiritual gift. Both of them, stay tuned, both of them apply for the fellowship. Both of them, of course, get accepted, and both of them head to Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
God be winking already. We should have like a ticker counter in the bottom corner counting how many God winks we're getting because it's.
No.
I mean, God's going to be winking so much his eyes might as well be closed. Okay?
It's an aggressive blink. At this point,
Yeah.
It's an aggressive God blink is what
Also, it's not lost on me that every time you say Oshkosh, I think of the 80s and 90s clothing brand Oshkosh.
Oshkosh, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So both of them are in Oshkosh, and both immediately dive for the same Uber in what can only be described as the most Midwestern meet-cute imaginable. At the fellowship, which looks like a lovely little nonprofit decked out for the Christmas season, they meet the rest of the crew that we're going to surround ourselves with for the next 2 hours. This is Sadie and Adam. They're about the same age as our leads here. Then we get Glenn, Lewis, and Katie. Glenn is like the communications director for the nonprofit, and Lewis and Katie run the place. And this is basically, dear listener, it's like adult church camp for emotionally vulnerable, attractive people. Just think about it that way. That's what I like it.
Well, it's
too.
Community Cares is what it seems like.
Yes.
It's an ad for this program, Community Cares, but with a quick Google search, I didn't see like, there's a lot of things that say, "Oh, community cares," but I didn't see it as, like, a program
Hmm.
necessarily, so if you all are familiar with it being an actual program, leave us a comment, let me know.
There you go. Anyway, this, of course, happens around the Christmas season, and they are leaning into Advent on this one. So they light the first Advent calendar candle as part of their orientation, and they are told that these 2 weeks will change their lives. Red flag.
It's a tall order.
Tall order. Tall order.
And what I'm just so confused from this, like, conceit anyways, because she's a nurse practitioner. He's flunked out of seminary and wants to be a writer now because that's the only thing he's kinda good at. One guy's a chef, one girl is, like, a tech nerd, and they're all learning like, I know fellows, like, when our daughter was in the NICU, there were fellows that would round, and they were training up to be, higher up in the medical community. I know the term fellows, but to have so many vastly different occupations coming together to be fellowed in Oshkosh, it is a
It's a
Godwink.
Godwink.
It's
Let's
a
just
heck of a
write it
Godwink.
off. Write it off as a Godwink. There you
And
go.
Katie, the lady that's kinda running it, she's big into the Godwink. It's like Kathy Lee Gifford
Yes.
was too busy to appear in this movie,
I
and
think
so
that's
she was in the
exactly
first
what
one,
it was.
We've talked about a Godwink movie before.
We
This is not our
have.
first foray into the Godwink.
Not our first wink.
Kathy Lee
Yeah.
Gifford must have been busy, and they're like, "We need Bobo Kathy Lee Gifford to be winking in this movie."
We need someone who looks vaguely representative of Kathy Lee Gifford, and boy, does Katie in this role. Yes.
To give us some Kirkland's wisdom, as you would say.
Please, please, yes. Anyway, Joy and Eric immediately bond over cider, Christmas kringles, and unresolved emotional baggage. Joy reveals that her mom passed away because, of course, this is Hallmark, and as we like to say here, the deader, the better. The next day, Joy works at the medical clinic associated with this nonprofit, while Eric gets assigned to write about the Romero family for the nonprofit newsletter. Now, the Romeros, their home was destroyed in a fire, and it's actually being rebuilt by the charity that they're all there to support in Oshkosh. The group helps rebuild the house while also writing Sharpie blessings throughout the home instead of doing actual work. Bold move, since they're on a deadline to get the family moved into this place by Christmas. And
Who
Christmas
built the rest
is
of the house?
2
Who built
weeks.
who built the rest of the
Unclear.
house? Because the
Unclear.
house is basically done, except
Right.
a few small areas, number 1. Number 2, I wouldn't use Sharpie. Like, we wrote quotes and verses on our house when it was being built in pencil. Because you know what? Pencil is covered up by drywall and sheathing and paint and all these other things. They were just Sharpieing on the drywall.
Yeah.
That's gonna take a lot of coats of paint to cover up.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Mm.
You need to know Mrs. Romero is super pregnant throughout this entire thing. And their 10-year-old son, Charlie, is big time struggling because they used to live in a different part of town. He doesn't want to move to this new house and leave his friends behind. Now, everyone winds up processing their respective trauma through tasteful holiday decor, is basically what it boils down to.
Yeah, they
Eric-
get money to go on a shopping spree to help finish off this place.
Yes.
But they talk about it's not a lot of money. I thought they'd get a couple pieces of art, couple
Something.
vases, like stage it a little bit.
Something.
The thing is decked out full tilt.
Full tilt. Yeah.
Looks
Yeah.
like these people have moved in this house 10 years ago.
And have
Okay.
lived there for quite some time. Yeah.
I think they
look
moved
settled.
in dust bunnies. It
They
looks
look
very settled.
Very
Yes.
settled.
Yes.
Eric and Joy keep accidentally finding themselves alone together because Oshkosh apparently only has one park bench, one cafe, and one emotionally charged walking path, because we see the same thing over and over again. Now, at the cafe, Eric admits that he flunked preaching class twice. Joy is encouraging him.
Wait, she still very much has a boyfriend back in Ohio.
Put a pin in that, because that's, yes,
Broken up.
they've
at all.
not broken up. No,
This guy's
no,
looking
no.
for houses for them to buy back
Yes.
in Ohio.
He wants a fixer up. He's trying to be, Chip to her Joanna, and it's just, yeah. Anyway, the group decides to launch what they're calling Operation Home for the Holidays because rebuilding the entire house apparently wasn't ambitious enough. So cue a shopping montage, cue a decorating montage, cue some longing eye contact, interrupted by Joy's boyfriend calling from back home. And here's what this scene basically looks like. He's on the phone and he goes, "Love you." And Joy responds, "Yeah." Brother, it is over.
That should be a red flag to him and anybody else who's around.
Yeah.
You better get a single bedroom loft city style apartment, okay, bro?
Too
'Cause it ain't.
sweet.
We don't
Too
need no
sweet.
bungalows. We don't need no ranches. You
No.
don't need all that space.
Yeah, the only thing you're fixing up is an efficiency for yourself. Anyway, Joy admits to Katie, again, not Kathy Lee Gifford, Katie, that she's caught feelings for Eric after knowing him for approximately 11 Hallmark minutes. Katie is thrilled because she's been shipping this relationship harder than Amazon Prime. Eric's article that he wrote for the newsletter becomes a mega hit in the nonprofit communication space, which calls for, in this town, pumpkin pie and some mild flirting. Later, it's time to decorate some cookies, and we need to light the second Advent candle. And this is the candle of peace, which I find ironic because this is exactly when everything in this movie becomes emotionally chaotic. It is the exact opposite of peace. The Romeros finally move home. Charlie gets an absurdly baller gamer setup in his room as a 10-year-old. They put all that together.
I could play
The
some Donkey Kong
neighbors-
in that room. I'm just saying, I'm a
I
grown
know.
woman. Okay? I
I
wouldn't turn it
know.
down. I wouldn't
I
turn it
know.
down.
The neighborhood shows up with gifts, and we light the third candle, Joy. Now, Advent is a month-long thing leading up to Christmas, but boy, they've got to really get you through Advent in what is supposed to be just 2 weeks. So we're
Well,
kind
they
of
do acknowledge that. They'd said in the beginning, well, we know it's only 2 weeks, so it's a little different. They did at least acknowledge that briefly, but
we're gonna
yeah.
rush you through the
We
through the
also had a
Advent
scene
candles here.
out where Eric and Joy have realized they both lived in Columbus at one point, and that
Yes.
they could have already met in a former life. Wink, wink, wink.
Probably did.
Yeah.
Wink, wink. Yeah. So they light that candle. It's the Joy candle. And then Joy drops her bombshell. "I have a boyfriend," she says. Whoops. Eric immediately hits the emotional eject button here and tells her that he cannot be a part of this. He is just going to give her space. He basically says, "You deal with your stuff. I'll be here." Which is honestly the healthiest communication anyone has had in a Hallmark movie in quite some time. We love a
that's what
self-aware
he
man.
needed to do. He was
Yes,
almost
we
kissing
love a
her, and then
self-aware
he was
man.
like,
Yes.
"My bad, misread the situation."
My bad. Misread.
Even though
We're in
he
the friend
didn't.
zone.
Yep.
We're in the friend zone. Yeah,
Don't
exactly.
back it up.
So what happens on the back end of this is we get a few minutes of basically everyone staring sadly into the middle distance while acoustic guitar music gently strums in the background because there's an emotional weight now that this star-crossed lovers thing may not be happening. Spoiler,
They're
it
slow.
happens.
They're slow dancing to "O Little Town of Bethlehem."
Well, there's that, yeah.
I said, this is always a recipe for romantic connection.
Yeah, always. Which is, I understand a dilemma when we get these Christmas movies. What do you have these people slow dance to? We've talked about this before. I might suggest "O Little Town of Bethlehem" is not a great choice for a
Do
slow
something
dance.
secular. I know it's a religious movie, but
Please.
we don't need to. I'm sad you have a boyfriend because I'm in love with you. To "O Little Town of Bethlehem."
Yeah.
It seems
yeah.
wrong.
So we're at this farewell celebration where everyone's dancing and they light the final Advent candle. It's the candle of love. Eric gives Joy a compass necklace because apparently this movie said, what if symbolism, but more? We need more symbolism here.
On the nose.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like Rudolph, right there.
Just right there. Yeah. All right. So back in Columbus, Joy's boyfriend starts talking about their future together and the next 50 years of their life, which is unfortunate timing because she's emotionally already back in Oshkosh. Her dad can tell something's wrong and basically says, girl, you are really flirting with this guy that's from your church camp that you just came back from. Which, having been at church camp, I can tell you, romance can blossom at church camp. Yeah.
They can.
It can.
Close quarters, the greater good, all of that, mission trips, church camp. Yeah, I saw plenty of relationships blossom. But,
Yeah.
usually both people are single.
Yes. That's not the case here.
Most times, I would assume. I didn't do a poll, but most of the time they're
Yeah.
both single. Now, Eric stayed back in Oshkosh, but
He
gosh.
did. Yeah, he was going to stay because Mr. Romero had some work for him and he didn't have anything else to do. We'll come back to that in a second.
Mhm.
Back in Columbus, Joy breaks up with her boyfriend of 5 years for a guy that she met 2 weeks ago while assembling Christmas decorations for strangers. Ma'am. And
And
then,
this guy, this guy was with her after she lost her mom and walked with
yes,
her through the grief in
through
the
the
trenches,
valley. Yeah,
the valleys, and
the
they were
valley.
seemingly fine in the beginning of this movie, other than she might want to be a travel nurse. So, I mean, I think we'd have some conversations, but
Wow.
justice for him.
Wow. And then, so she hops a plane back to Oshkosh. But Eric is working with Mr. Romero, and she basically tells Eric, hey, I'm coming back to Oshkosh. Pick me up when I get there. And he's like, awesome. Can't wait. I have a little work to do. So let me go do the work, and then I'll pick you up at the airport. His work is that he's actually salting roads, right? That's Mr.
snowplow.
Romero's
Yeah.
in a snowplow. So he goes, he leaves the cafe. He's on cloud 9. His girl's coming back.
He tells the diner
Right.
owner, I'll come back and pay for it later. Bro,
Yeah.
you better reach in your pocket and get a 5-spot or something. Pay for my pie before you run out all love stricken.
Please. So he gets out to the snowplow, and the movie suddenly turns into an episode of Chicago Med. Here's how this goes down. The truck won't start. Eric gets out to fix the truck, but before he does, we see his little foot hit the parking brake. And in my mind, I'm like, I see where this is going. And sure enough, he's underneath the truck and he's tinkering around with a little wrench. The truck runs him over. I'm sorry, what? The truck runs him over.
Over his entire lifeless body, flailing in the street. And he makes this noise because it shows.
Yeah.
This is why Hallmark
It's like
shouldn't show
running
action
toward him.
sequences, okay? This is exactly why. Because most movies would say, you show him tinkering and then it would cut.
Yeah, it would cut.
This shows a shot under, like with a GoPro, the wheels coming towards him and him going, "Ah!"
Dear listener, sweet little Hallmark movie here took a hard left turn into trauma territory. And so
Poor
what
diner
happens?
Peggy or whatever her name was is like,
I know.
"Call 911."
Peggy's like, call
She saw it
911.
happen.
She did. Yeah.
It rolled over
Anyway.
his entire body.
Yeah. Well, Lewis, thankfully, again, Godwink, he's the doctor from the church camp, of course. He gets called into an emergency surgery because apparently everyone in Oshkosh has exactly 1 degree of separation. So wink, wink, wink. Here we go. Joy finds out about everything because word travels quickly. HIPAA be damned. There's no such thing as HIPAA here, you know, whatever. Yeah. So Joy arrives at the hospital just in time for maximum emotional devastation here. Everyone is blaming themselves. Mr. Romero even blames himself at some point. And I'm
He
just
kind of
like,
should. He's like, yeah, I knew the starter wasn't very good. Well,
the surgeon explains that a conference seminar on liver rupture techniques that he just attended, yes, really, has prepared him to save Eric's life. Wink, wink. Here we go again. Another Godwink has entered the chat. Joy promises God, she goes off to pray in the hospital chapel, presumably, that if Eric survives, she'll step aside so he can focus on his family because she loves him enough to let him go. Again, ma'am, 2 weeks. It has been 2 weeks. Eric starts crashing because apparently, according to this movie, true love is apparently a medically necessary vitamin deficiency treatment. So
right,
she's
because
like there.
Yeah.
She's there holding his hand and doing the thing, and he's fine. She leaves the room. She says she's going to leave. He crashes. Like, literally, he's not emotionally crashing. He's, like, physically crashing at
Vital
this point.
stats, yeah, because he's unconscious.
Yeah.
Not a scratch or bruise on his face, though. His arm's in a sling, and we know about the liver situation. And he has, like, at first he has an oxygen mask, and then they downgrade to, like, a little nasal cannula just in the nostrils. Seems to look pretty good, considering an entire snowplow ran
him over
your body. Now, I've never been run over by a
Anywho.
snowplow, but I would imagine there'd be
Yeah.
more bruising and scars.
If
But his
you're an
parents get there
expert in getting run over by a snowplow, let us know in the comments.
Please. And I hope we don't get any comments. I hope this has never happened to you, but my God. Now his parents get there and kind of they're like, nice to meet you, baby girl. Bye bye. And they
Bye.
kick her out. And
Yeah.
then that's when they're like, snap. Yeah, he's crashing every time she's not there. She also
Yeah.
puts that compass necklace in his
In
little
his
corpsey
palm. Yeah.
palm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tucks it in there and says, find your way back to me. Again, 2 weeks. Katie tracks Joy down. She's still at the hospital, and Katie's like, girl, save his life. She rushes back to Eric's bedside, and wouldn't you know it, he wakes up on Christmas morning at the hospital, where everyone has somehow gathered for a full Advent candle ceremony. Joy and Eric kiss, and we close with real-life photos of the actual couple that inspired this real-life story, alongside the declaration that they remained Godwinkers for the rest of their lives, which honestly sounds either deeply romantic or mildly cultish, depending on your mood.
It's time for Gold or Coal.
Okay, I haven't been this excited for this segment in a long time, I gotta tell you. It is time for our Gold or Coal segment. And Josh and I are each going to bring 3 gifts to this podcast of what stood out to us most about this movie. This time, if there is more gold, the Godwinks were winking. If there's more coal, Destiny was absolutely freelancing. And if it's a tie, which sometimes happens, it's just a meh Christmas. Josh, I'm coming to you first. Please tell me your thoughts on this movie.
Well, I love a sweet movie. I love a sweet Hallmark movie. This movie gets coal for me because it is just too sweet. It is saccharine. It is just so smarmy and so sweet in this way where you're just like, God, I've got a cavity, in a not so enjoyable way. It was just too much for me.
No, when you
So,
just did that
coal to start.
cavity face, that you almost winked.
Maybe that's why.
Maybe
Wink.
that's why. My first gift is coal. Joy is an unlikable character. I'm sorry. I mean, it's a big part because she still has a boyfriend and she's falling in love with this other guy. But we've seen that before in Hallmark movies. I just did not find myself rooting for her. I just didn't really enjoy her at all. I'm sorry.
I'm going to give some additional coal. The acting in this movie is not great. It
Do we
sort of
call it
feels
acting?
like
Do we call her?
it sort of feels like we're reading the script and trying our best to be emotional, and it's not what I have come to expect from the Hallmark Channel. I'll just put it that way and leave it at that.
Certainly not for a 2021 movie. I mean, that's only 5 years
No.
old. And
Yeah.
really, if it's Christmas, if it came out at Countdown to Christmas, and I think it did, it's only like 4.5 years old.
Yeah.
We were putting out better stuff at that point in Hallmark films.
Yes,
So,
yes.
You took one of mine. I'm going to give some coal. The car roll scene
Wow.
is pure comedy to me. I'm sorry. The way, not the event, because I do know it was based on a real story. And if you look it up, there's a whole news ditty about it. And it really was, the details were slightly different, but it was actually 2 weeks before their wedding that this happened. But this guy, they were going to get married. He was run over by some piece of heavy machinery and had to recover before the wedding and all this business. So I'm not laughing at that. That is terrible. But the way this was shot and it came out of nowhere and this scream and like everything surrounding it, it was just too much. It was just too much. I'm sorry. It made me laugh. I showed it to my coworker. I was like, you have to see this. She doesn't like Hallmark movies. I made her watch it. She laughed too.
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to
Again,
laugh. It's
You're not
be
supposed
funny.
to. More coal for me. I cannot handle it when we have a woman who is exceedingly pregnant and that never pays off with the delivery of the baby. It's just like, why? Why is she pregnant? I mean, what's going on here?
Yeah,
That
that
was
was
a
a
missed
one.
opportunity.
It was one storyline too many because she was very
Yes.
pregnant. All they showed her was she was just out of breath. She was stressed about Christmas and making it special for their son. And then she had a listeria infection we didn't even mention. So
Nope.
she, Joy was taking care of her in the clinic. Otherwise, she could die and the baby could have died. But we yada
Probably
yada
because she didn't
that.
microwave her deli meat.
You got to
She
watch out
wasn't
for the
doing all
deli
that.
meat. Yeah,
You
this is
do.
not a
Yeah.
medical podcast, but I've heard.
Yeah. We're not providing medical advice here.
No.
We're just saying.
But listeria can happen. Google it and talk to your medical providers. Yeah. Okay. So that was cool. My last gift is gold. for the sheer fact that it is based on a real story. And the whole bit where the surgeons learned about that procedure, I don't think it was on the way home, but it was like days. It was very recent to this accident happening in real life and then performing this life-saving procedure. That does give me warm fuzzies. That does warm my heart. That is what I consider to be a Godwink or good timing or God's provision, whatever you stand on that. We are believers in God. The miracle. It's a miracle, flat out, that
Yes.
happened and worked out
Yes.
that way. And that warms my heart, and I will give it gold for that.
Well
The
said.
real life aspect of it.
Well said. And I'm glad that we are not 6 on this. I do think that there is some redeeming quality to this movie. It just feels like this story is based on a true story, but it feels so, again, phony to me, the way it was all put together and presented. I think it was just trying too hard to be too sweet and too saccharine, and it just sort of lost me at the end of the day and almost became comical in a way that I don't think that they intended.
No. And you gotta wonder if you're that real life couple and they were actually engaged to be married when all this happened and they're messing with the timelines, I would be like, wait, didn't have a boyfriend when you were in the hospital? Like, I would be a little peeved about that. Now, I know the actual people were involved to some extent and gave their blessing or what have you, according to an article I read. So I guess they're fine. But I'd feel some type of way. I'd be like, actually, can we change a few things? I don't really
Yeah.
like how I'm being portrayed here. So that's 5 coal, 1 gold, which is our lowest score that we've had in a long time. So that is going to be Destiny was absolutely freelancing. Josh, any closing thoughts?
Yeah. I think that there are better ones in the Godwink series, and I get what they're trying to do here. I just think that there are more sophisticated ways to convey that sort of sentiment than this movie. And we've seen those in this Godwink series. I liked the other one, as a matter of fact, that we recapped and reviewed. I
Yeah, I
thought
had
it was
Kimberly
great.
Sestet and Paul Campbell. You cried in that
Yes,
one, didn't you? I believe you
I did.
cried. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think that there are better ways to do this kind of a story, and this one just kind of missed the mark for me. What about you?
Yeah, no, this is terrible. This is a terrible movie. This is pure comedy to me, this
All
movie,
right,
okay?
there you have it.
I love God. I wink a lot. In fact, my right eye blinks more than my left, so I be winking a lot. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to a God wink, but I am opposed to this movie.
And there you have it, dear listener. Hey, do you agree with our sentiment on this one? Be sure to let us know in the comments. We love to engage with all of our viewers and listeners. I can promise you guys, if you leave a comment on our socials, it's the two of us reading them. It's the two of us responding to them because we love our listeners, our fans, and we just want to grow our community. So you can connect with us on our website at doyouwatchwhatiwatch.com to learn a little bit more about the two of us and find us on all of our social platforms.
That's right. Make sure you're subscribed because, hey, whether or not you agree with us on this movie, we've got more content coming your way. We're going to be talking about Hallmark Hanukkah movies in June, and then we're going to be, having some Christmas and July content just around the bend. It'll be here before you know it, and then before you know it, it'll be counting down to Christmas all over again. Make sure
Here
you're
we go.
subscribed on your favorite podcast platform and or YouTube. Thank you for being here, and special thanks to Nick Schwartz, as always, for our theme song. What are we talking about next? Next, we're going to have our Mount Rushmore episode where we are going to debate, Josh and I, of our top actors in the Hallmark universe and who deserves to be carved on the historic American landmark of Mount Rushmore in Hallmarkdom. So that'll be fun, and we'll probably yell at each other and debate. So you don't want to miss out. But until then,
May your days be merry and bright. We'll see you next time.